250. That's the number of people who got to own the last Lexus LS ever made for the American market. 250 units. That's it. That's the end. And here's what nobody warned you about. The brand you grew up respecting, the brand your dad swore by, the brand that made Toyota's rivals look embarrassed. In 2026, it doesn't look like the Lexus you remember. It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't feel like it. And the fans, they're furious. But here's the twist: Lexus might not care, because the data says they're winning. And that contradiction, that's exactly what we need to talk about. Introduction. There's something deeply emotional about watching a brand evolve, especially when that brand was built on a promise. Lexus made its promise in 1989. They drove onto the scene and basically told the world, we're gonna build a luxury car that never breaks down, never disappoints, and never makes you feel like you wasted your money. And for 35 years, they kept that promise so consistently it became almost boring. Almost. But 2026 is different, and the changes aren't small tweaks. They're seismic. The V6 is gone, the LS is gone, the buttons are gone, and a whole generation of loyal buyers is standing in the showroom asking the same question. What happened to my Lexus? That question has two answers. One of them is going to make purists feel vindicated, the other one is going to make them deeply uncomfortable. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. The engine that built an empire and the silence that replaced it for decades. You knew a Lexus by the way it sounded when you started it. That smooth, confident rumble. The kind of sound that says everything is exactly where it should be. It wasn't aggressive, it wasn't showy, it was a certainty in mechanical form. The V6 engines in models like the ES and the IS weren't just propulsion systems, they were identical. They were the heartbeat. The reason enthusiasts chose Lexus over BMW or Mercedes wasn't just the reliability ratings. It was that engine pulling you into traffic with a confidence that felt almost personal. And in 2026, Lexus killed it. The 2026 ES is now exclusively offered as a hybrid or a fully electric vehicle. The ES350E, the dual motor ES500E, no combustion only option, none. Gone. And before you say, well, hybrids are still good, understand what this means to the guy who bought 6 Lexus sedans in a row, who replaced his wife's ES every 4 years like clockwork, who told his neighbors, just get a Lexus, trust me. That guy walked into a dealership in 2026, asked for the ES, and was handed a brochure for something that plugs into his wall. The IS lineup, even more brutal. The V8 powered IS 500, the one that enthusiasts were just starting to fall in love with, is gone. The base IS 300, the entry point, the gateway car, gone. What's left is a single IS 350 variant, streamlined, rationalized, sanitized. They didn't evolve the lineup, they amputated it. And the flagship, the LS, the car that started everything in 1989, the car that looked Mercedes in the eye and didn't blink. Lexus released 250 Heritage Edition units as a send-off. 250 for a car with 35 years of history. That's not a retirement, that's a funeral with an extremely limited guest list. Chapter 2. Where did all the buttons go? Here's something the automotive press doesn't like to admit. The war over interior buttons, Lexus chose the wrong side, and real-world buyers are letting them know. Reddit threads, owner forums, YouTube comment sections. The message is consistent and it is loud. The new Lexus interiors feel cold, complicated, less luxurious, not more. When you're trying to turn down the AC while merging onto a highway and the haptic panel responds with a faint vibration instead of a satisfying click, you don't feel like you're in a premium vehicle. You feel like you're debugging software. Traditional Lexus buyers, and let's be honest about who these buyers are, they're not early adopters. They're not the people who pre-order every new gadget. They're the ones who found something that worked and stayed loyal. They chose Lexus because the experience was reassuring, predictable, excellent in exactly the ways that mattered. And predictable is not a bad word. Predictable in a Lexus meant the climate worked every time. The controls responded immediately. The button you reached for in the dark was exactly where you expected it to be. That version of Lexus is becoming a memory. Now, here's where it gets complicated, because Lexus didn't go completely off the rails. The 2026 RX, still one of their best sellers, retained physical climate controls. Some physical buttons survived, the cabin still feels plush, still feels premium, still delivers that pillow on wheels comfort that Lexus does better than almost anyone alive. The product isn't bad, not even close to bad, but the direction, the trajectory, that's what's making loyal fans nervous. Because if the ES went full screen, the RX trimmed its buttons, and the LS got discontinued, what does the next generation of Lexus look like? And more importantly, does it still look like Lexus? Chapter 3, the brand that wins by refusing to lose okay. Let's talk about the thing that nobody who's angry about Lexus wants to hear. Lexus is still winning, not in the way enthusiasts measure winning, not in quarter-mile times or lap records or Instagram engagement, but in the way that actually determines whether a brand survives, in reliability, in ownership satisfaction. This is the reason people tell their friends, years after buying, yes, I'd do it again without question. JD Power surveys, Consumer Reports rankings, long-term ownership cost studies. Lexus consistently sits at or near the top every single year, while other luxury brands are dealing with touchscreen glitches, software recalls, electric drivetrains that need $4,000 repairs, 2 years out of warranty. A Lexus just keeps going, quietly, efficiently, without drama, and there's an audience for that, an enormous one. Parents, executives, people who need their car to work tomorrow morning without negotiation, people who don't want to think about their vehicle beyond where it's parked. For them, Lexus in 2026 isn't a disappointment. It's exactly what they need. The uncomfortable truth, and this is the part that genuinely stings if you're an enthusiast, is that Lexus probably studied their ownership data and made a calculated decision. The V6 lovers and the button pushers, they were vocal, but they weren't necessarily the majority of buyers. The majority wanted efficiency, technology, and the unspoken promise that nothing will go wrong. So Lexus made the car for the majority, and they did it without apologizing. That's not cowardice. That's cold, precise, strategic thinking. And depending on which side of the fence you sit on, it's either deeply admirable or deeply heartbreaking. Chapter 4, the real cost of the pivot. But let's not wrap this up too neatly, because something real is being lost here, and it deserves acknowledgement. Car culture has always been about more than transportation. It's about identity, about the way a certain engine note makes you feel at 6 a.m. on an empty road, about the physical connection between your hand and a button that does exactly one thing and does it perfectly, about a brand that represented something specific, not just reliable, but reliably soulful. The 2026 Lexus IS, the one that survived the cull, is a fine car, technically proficient, well built, competent in ways that its German competitors occasionally aren't, but it feels curated rather than passionate, like a really excellent hotel room that has everything you need and nothing that surprises you. And the LS Heritage Edition, 250 people got to own the last chapter of a 35-year story. That's genuinely emotional if you grew up admiring that car, if you watched it square up against the S-Class and hold its own, if you saw it age with dignity while other brands chase trends they didn't understand. Those 250 people didn't just buy a car, they bought a piece of an ending. And endings, even necessary ones, deserve to be felt. The electric era isn't coming, it's here. And Lexus, whether you agree with the execution or not, made a decisive move toward it. No hesitation, no half measures. The ES is electric, the future is electric, and Lexus is betting with full conviction that their reputation for bulletproof quality will carry the brand through the transition better than almost any competitor. They might be right. Outro, here's what I keep coming back to. Lexus didn't betray their customers. Not really. They just changed which customers they were prioritizing. And in a world where luxury is increasingly defined by technology, by silence, by seamlessness rather than soul, maybe that's the only way to survive. But there's something worth mourning in the old formula. The physical buttons weren't just buttons. The V6 wasn't just an engine. The LS wasn't just a flagship. They were proof that a brand could be simultaneously excellent and emotionally honest. That reliability and character didn't have to be opposites. The 2026 Lexus is a better machine in almost every technical measurable. It's cleaner, quieter, more efficient, more connected, and a little less alive. Whether that's progress or loss depends entirely on what you wanted from a Lexus in the first place. And maybe that's the most honest thing anyone can say about it. If you made it this far, you already know which side of this debate you're on. Maybe you're the one who misses the buttons and the V6 and the LS. Maybe you're the one who thinks Lexus made the right call. Either way, drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know, because the conversation around what luxury means in 2026 is one of the most interesting things happening in the car world right now, and I don't think anyone has the complete answer yet. If this video made you think, or made you feel something, or made you slightly angry in a way you can't fully explain, that's the sign. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and come back next week because we're going deep on something you absolutely won't see coming. I'll see you there.